Hey geeks, welcome to another exciting episode of Rockin The Code World with dotNetDave. I'm David McCarter. I'm glad you're back. We were off for a couple of weeks because Simon was busy doing stuff. And now we're back and something's going on with StreamYard. It's just not working as well as it used to. So if you see any weird glitches like in my face and everything, I apologize. Something's going on since the last episode. And also, it just completely froze up during the intro, and I think it was because the antivirus thing kicked in Windows, and I hate that because it just sucks up all the CPU cycles, and so we'll see how the show goes. If I'm lagging, that's why, because Windows is not behaving properly for me at least today. So I hope everything goes okay because I have a really special guest, Maddy Montaquila. She just told me how to pronounce her last name, and I think I messed it up already. So some of you might know her as Maddie Ledger from Microsoft, and she's a senior product manager for .NET MAUI. I've been looking forward to her being on the show because I'm not really sure what's coming out with .NET MAUI recently because I've been working on other stuff. And so I'm looking forward to catching up and see what's coming out in the next couple of weeks with MAUI. So if you don't know, I think .NET 8 is coming out, I think on the 13th, if that's the official release date. So I will be actually gone when it happens. I'll be at the Build Stuff conference in Lithuania. I'm really excited. All my presentations are done. I'm going to start packing this weekend. I've never been to Lithuania, so I'm very, very excited. So I have almost a completely brand new Rock Your Code and app performance for Microsoft.NET that I'll be presenting on, I think, the second day of the conference. And I'm presenting all the latest .NET benchmark tests that I've been doing the last couple months, and I updated all my tests with the latest SDK version that was released last month. And I'm seeing some weird things with some things at Microsoft. You'll be seeing an article about that coming out soon. I'm done with that too, so that'll be coming out in a minute. I mean, in a couple days. And also, I'm very, very excited because I'm going to be doing for the very first time Rock Your Code Application Globalization Workshop, which I've been wanting to do for a very long time because 100% of the projects I work on don't do globalization. And if they do very, very, very little. So every project I've worked on in the last 10, 15 years doesn't do any of this. And unfortunately, companies get themselves stuck because, this happened at a company that hired me where, their salesperson went off and sold their application to a completely different country than America, which doesn't use English. And then what hits the fan and everybody goes into crisis mode trying to get it out because some salesman did that. And so my whole goal with the workshop is you're going to bring in your work code, and we're going to start working on it right in the workshop. We only have 3 hours, so there's a lot of stuff in the workshop I'm going to cover in 3 hours. But that's my goal, is to get you doing it a little bit during the conference. And then when you go back to work Monday, you can really start doing it and make it a common practice that you don't let any code into the repository that doesn't handle this properly. Because like I said, if it's done months or years later, I can tell you it's a very expensive process and it takes a really long time. And so why not just do it right in the beginning? Anyway, if you're attending the workshop and you're listening, please email me or tweet at me and let me know what specifically you want me to cover, so I can make sure I include it. But I have a jam-packed 3-hour session ready for you all, and I hope to see you there. And I hope there's a lot of people there because this is really important. And maybe just American developers don't worry about this, but we'll see. All right. Also, my latest book is out, Rock Your Career, Surviving the Technical Interview. I hope you go pick up a copy because this is layoff season, unfortunately. One of the things with the holiday season, it's also layoff season, and they're already happening. I've been seeing big layoffs coming out in the tech world. So get prepared and get my book because it's chock full of everything you're going to need to survive the technical interview. Because if you don't survive that part, you're not getting the job. So this is the most important part of the interview is the technical interview. So I hope you go pick up a copy. Some people have been getting it this week, so maybe I'm right about the whole layoff thing. Also, just this morning, I released my quarterly official release of Spargin. Spargin is my open source libraries I've been doing ever since .NET 2.0. So a very long time. And I'm basically wrapping up this version of Spargin because I've already started working on the .NET 8 version, which will, incorporate all the cool stuff coming out in, the last few versions of .NET. So I'm going to keep the .NET 6 and 7 versions separate, and then I'm starting a brand new version for .NET 8 that I hope to get out as soon as I can. If I can, I'm going to work on it in the airplane or waiting around in the airports on my way to Lithuania. So that's my, I'm going to have it on my machine so I can start working on it. And I also released a brand new version of my Spargin dev tool. It's a free global tool for .NET software engineers. And it's I have globalized it into 4 different languages, including Hindi and Danish and Spanish. And so I hope you can pick it up. And basically what Spargin DevTool does is it quickly scans your computer and backs up all your source code before you start working with a repository like GitHub or even a worse one. Because 100% of the source control programs I've used in my lifetime delete my code somehow, and even GitHub. And so before I even touch source control, I run the Spargin dev tool. It quickly backs everything up in just a few seconds. And because it has saved me multiple times of losing code, and there's one thing I hate doing, especially when I'm being paid for it, is losing code that I've been working on for a while, and all of a sudden it disappears and I have to tell my boss I have to do it over. And so I don't like that, especially if you're in a contracting job. So I hope you use that. It also cleans up all the temporary and cache files left over by SQL Server, not SQL, Visual Studio and SQL Server, because both are not great at cleaning itself up. It's cleaning itself up, and other applications too. So it can save you actually gigabytes of space on your hard drive if you run the clean feature. So I hope you go download it right now after the show and check it out, because I use both of these things every day of my coding life, and I hope you will too. I have a new article out on CSharpCorner, and I'll be coming out with another one next week. It's called "A Warning to Companies, Your Development Manager's Ineffective and It's Your Fault." So basically, it's kind of my frustration working with development managers in the last 10 plus years. And it's not the development manager's fault for the most part. It's the company's fault for not giving the development manager enough resources. And so I go in a lot of detail sharing real stories that I've encountered recently with managers and their lack of the ability to properly manage a team to release great software that users love. And so this article is to try to get a conversation going to see how we can fix this, because this was better in the past, and I'm trying to reel it back in, but we'll see. All right. Okay, I want to invite Maddy on. Maddy is a senior product manager at Microsoft on the .NET team. She's been with the team since 2018, working on Xamarin and now MAUI. She first worked with the Xamarin team as a Microsoft intern and realized the impact she could have creating amazing developer tools and frameworks. Maddy's current focus is making .NET MAUI developers more productive than ever. Welcome, Maddy.
Hello, how are you? Good morning.
Good, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Little cold here in Boston, but that's okay. I was just
Oh,
saying before we went live, we're refusing to turn the heat on until like the very last minute. So,
yeah, you live in Boston now.
yep, yep.
Yeah. Okay. I thought maybe you're in Seattle still.
No, no,
Um,
no.
yeah, it's kind of, how's the weather up there?
It's good. I mean, it's up and down.
Hmm.
Last week it was like 70 for a couple days and then it was like 30. So, I'm not really sure when it will be fall or winter, but
Yeah.
we're rolling with it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. We had last week we had, and even into this week we had what we call the Santa Anas, when the desert air blows the opposite way and blows the hot air into San Diego, and so, but now
yeah.
it's cooling off again. So, and I've been checking the weather in Lithuania, and it's the high and low is in the 40s, and so
That sounds like a fun trip though. I've never been to Lithuania either.
yeah,
So,
yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I have a couple extra days as I always do, especially the first time I go visit a new country, to tool around and get to know the city and Lithuania and its people and everything. And so, if anybody from that country or I've been to Lithuania is watching right now, please let me know on things I should not miss while I'm there. Because also this weekend, besides starting to pack, I'm going to start making my list of stuff to do. And like when I was in Denmark, yeah, I went to the world's oldest amusement park, you know, and yeah,
cool. What?
yeah, yeah, which in Copenhagen, and supposedly, I need to research this more, but supposedly. Walt Disney actually got some of his ideas for Disneyland from Trevelyan Gardens,
Huh.
and when I went there, I was going, well, wait, this is cheap. These are worse versions of Disneyland rides, and so so I think
Yep.
because I worked on a team earlier this year with somebody from the UK, and he said, yeah, it's like Disneyland, but not as good. And he's definitely right on that. It's
Yeah.
not near it
Yeah.
wasn't very good at all. I
Well,
can
Disney
tell you
is
the truth.
like a whole other tier, so I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And speaking of Disney, there's a brand new South Park movie that just came out making fun of Disney. So
Oh, I'm gonna have to
I
watch it. I
I
haven't
watched
watched
it.
South
I
Park in a
watched it
while.
last. Yeah, I watched it last night. It came out the end of last month, and
Okay.
I think it's on Paramount Plus. It's hilarious, just poking fun of how crappy the Disney movies are and why, lately. So,
Oh, I'm definitely watching that tonight.
oh yeah, I'm not going to say anything because
Good.
Carmen, of course, is the funniest in this movie, and it's really really funny. So,
Good. Okay, good. Wow, that's
so
my Saturday night plans. Thank you for that.
I was laughing out loud by myself last
Yep.
night, so it's got to be funny if I'm laughing out loud and nobody here.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't been back in your area since 2018. I guess I was back there speaking in Philadelphia,
Cool.
and I'm actually originally from Delaware.
Oh,
I was born in Wilmington, and
okay.
the last town I lived in was Newark.
Cool.
And then my family moved to Arizona, and then I joined the Navy, and I've been here ever since. So
Sweet. That's
yeah,
awesome. That's a good
yeah,
story.
yeah,
But you can never really truly leave the East Coast. It's always with you. So,
yeah. I do miss the East Coast, and actually, the 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 time of year I miss it is this time of year, right?
yeah.
Because especially in San Diego, we really don't have seasons, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
either hot or warm, right?
Yeah.
And it cools off at night, but we well until this year, we said it's 72. That's
Yeah.
it's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so we really don't have seasons, and so um, I really like going back east to where I grew up, as a kid, and the snow and Santa and all that kind of cool stuff. So I actually, uh, in a way, am looking forward to going to Lithuania, and hopefully there'll be some snow there to at least get me a little bit in the Christmas spirit, because
Yeah.
it's really hard to get in the Christmas spirit in San Diego. So.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like you have to tell your kids, how does Santa land? There's no snow.
Yeah,
You
he
know?
just it's like he's just really good.
Yeah, yeah. He's got wheels on,
Yeah,
for the hot states.
perfect.
So anyway, let's talk about why we're here. Um, Maui is there what? So what's coming out in Maui this month?
Oh my God. Okay, so Maui is like totally built into .NET now. So we're going
Yeah,
to be shipping the next version as part of .NET 8, which I think you were 13th or 14th, that whatever the Tuesday of that week
yeah.
is,
I think it's
during
the
.NET Con.
14th.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. I should
Yeah,
know
14th.
because I should know, but that's okay. Um, and really with this release, like so Maui originally shipped GA halfway through .NET 6. So .NET 7 we synced up, which was great. And then we've spent basically the past year like focusing on everything people were complaining about in .NET 6 and .NET 7, like when we first shipped, which is good. That means we're doing our job. The big highlights, I think, like performance, we did a lot of work in, like memory management and memory leaks, which I know is not like the sexiest thing to talk about, but like
It's really important though.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like people were like, I'm having horrible memory leaks on Windows. And we're like, oh, and then we fixed up all of those.
Yeah.
We also fixed something like 600 or 700 bugs,
Wow.
which is crazy because
In
we have
one
like
year?
in 1 year. And we
Wow.
have a pretty scrappy engineering team. So
Yeah.
they do a really
Yeah.
good job. And it was something like 1,500 PRs are in .NET 8, many of which are community PRs, which is really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we also focused a lot on the desktop story, like Xamarin, which Maui is kind of evolved from, didn't really care about desktop. It had UWP, but it was just like it was made for the phone, which doesn't exist. So that was a whole different story. So we went back in now that we support both Windows with WinApp SDK, WinUI, and Mac. We've started adding things like keyboard listeners and click handlers and like, making it really easy to like use the toolbar up top and build that functionality in, and the window title and multi-window. And so there's a lot of that comes out with .NET 8. And then not really related to .NET 8, but new to Maui is we also shipped a VS Code extension, which is in preview. So that's been really fun. I mean, I'm a .NET developer. I love Visual Studio. I like being in the IDE.
Yeah,
but
me too.
but we like have a lot of people, especially the younger people coming out of college, who like don't want to download a 20 gig IDE, that are like, why would I have to do that? Like, I use VS Code for everything. Why do I have to download this thing to do .NET? And so we've brought kind of some basic, like the Solution Explorer, and like just being able to run NUnit or XUnit testing. And then with Maui being able to change like where you're debugging it on. So I can change between my Mac locally and my simulator, or if I'm on Windows, I can do like the Android emulator. So that's been really fun. It's been nice to see like the amount of people who have downloaded already and are using it, and even if it's just in preview. So it's been cool.
So speaking of the Mac, now that Visual Studio Mac is going away, has that changed how developers like debug or test Maui on the Mac, or do you have a simulator that basically does everything?
So yeah, I mean, as long as you have Xcode, your iOS story, once you actually get the app running, is going to be pretty similar, which is great. But the code editing and like the IDE experience is what's really changing. Which is, part of the reason why we were really pushing to get Visual Studio Code out. Even though it doesn't have a lot of key features, that it will before it goes like GA stable. But we wanted to get a preview out. We wanted people to know that there's going to be an alternate. Obviously, it's not the same. Like the setup is really, usually with VS Code, it's like a DIY, build your own adventure, use the command line to set things up. With Visual Studio, it's always like one click. All right, everything's great. So we're trying to figure out how we can like bridge that gap without going against all of Visual Studio Code's like design principles and guidelines, but also like make it usable for folks who wanted to stay in VS Mac. I would say generally people are pretty sad about it, which is definitely sad. We all loved it, but also like it was constantly breaking. The amount of tech debt in VS Mac was like beyond repair. So I can see why from the business perspective, especially like you were talking about layoffs early last year, it was layoffs everywhere. they were like, we have to kill VS Mac, but they were actually able to keep almost all of the team and not
Oh,
lay
that's
them
good.
off and move them
Yeah.
over to places. So that was like the silver lining in it all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, because VS Mac was basically the old Xamarin Designer, wasn't it? Basically
yeah,
renamed and called Visual Studio for Mac.
yeah. Well, people
Yeah.
kept saying we want Visual Studio on the Mac, and so they
Yeah.
took Monodevelop, which became Xamarin Studio, and they were like, well, this is Visual Studio on the Mac, and people were like, no, this is
No, it's
different. This
not.
is not
I
Visual
know.
Studio. So I think we shot
Yeah.
ourselves in the foot by like giving it
Yeah.
the same brand.
Yeah.
But you live and you learn. Now we
Yeah.
know. My dream, this will never happen. This would be way too much work. But my dream is we rewrite all of Visual Studio in Maui and then it runs on the Mac.
Yeah.
But
Maybe maybe that'll be the next big rewrite because
yeah.
I think the last really big one is when they moved to WPF and I'm not even sure what VS is made in now. It's probably a whole bunch of stuff, right?
It's still mostly WPF, but there's like
Yeah.
some C stuff. Occasionally there's like web views with JavaScript. It's like, huh, okay.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So speaking of that, do you know if they're going to change the name of Visual Studio in a couple weeks? You don't even know, or you
We're not
can't
shipping
say.
a new one. So it's
Oh, you're
still
not shipping. It's still 22.
still 2022. We've been talking about it. Part of the reason we haven't like revved the name is because we don't like to do that unless we're
Yeah.
actually shipping something of significant value. So with 2019 it was oh god, .NET Core, and with
Right.
2022 it was 64-bit.
Right.
And so then we were going to rewrite it to be on like .NET 7, .NET 8, or we were thinking like what other major features could we do? And I think because of just like the economy being slow, everyone was like, why are we killing ourselves just to rename it? I would love if we could rev it. It feels a little old now if we're going into 2024, but we got there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I forgot, but if anybody has questions for Maddie, please put them in the chat. It takes a minute or two to come through. So make sure you do that and don't spam the chat like somebody did. But at least we're not getting the porn advertisements like we used
yep.
to. So
Yep.
maybe StreamYard has fixed that finally. But yeah,
It's trying.
yeah, it was. We were getting quite a few of those for a while, and they kind of went away, which I'm really glad because
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad enough somebody bothers me because they want to promote something in my channel, but the porn stuff really bothered me. So yeah, don't forget ask Maui questions. Like I said, I've been kind of out of focusing on Maui just because I'm more of a back end guy these days.
Yeah.
So what else do you want to talk about? What's coming out in Maui?
Oh my gosh. There's a lot of just like little like paper cut things that have been fun. But we're also doing more and more to like kind of align with .NET properly. So you can actually like profile your apps using the command line now with the .NET CLI profiling tools, which is really cool, and then open it up in the IDE or in Speedscope or whatever. We just finished like getting the .NET Conf keynote together the other day, so that's very exciting. And I'm not gonna tell you what we're announcing, but we are announcing something that's going to be great for backend and cloud developers. That folks have started to tease here and there. And then the AI stuff has been crazy. Like we're just trying to ride the AI wave and see where we can be helpful or where we can leverage it. One thing that we keep like trying to do, but it's really hard, is like have your AI have like a co-pilot that basically writes your XAML for you. Like I want a page that is like Pinterest, a grid or something. And it should. And we've got like some prototypes that kind of work. It's just, it doesn't work consistently enough that it would actually be useful for people yet.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to put something in there that's, halfway done, right?
Right.
And make it something that's really useful to people. Like, Copilot is great. I've been using it a little bit more lately just because I want to include any information in my new book. And so I like Copilot. I've been using AI like crazy to generate images.
Yeah,
Like even the image you see behind me was all generated with AI.
that's cool.
Not the text, but the image behind that.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of become addicted to it, and I've because before Adobe Firefly, I would download stock images and stuff from Adobe because I have a cloud account, and that's what I was using for all my stuff. But I've like completely redone my PowerPoint slide backgrounds with everyone in there is AI generated, right?
That's so cool.
And,
Yeah.
and I'm coming up with some new logos for next year that I'm already working on that it's AI generated.
Cool.
The new cover for my book, all my books have like a rock and roll theme and has like a guitar amplifier on it. So
Yep.
now I'm creating my own guitar amplifier through Adobe Firefly, right? One you've never seen before, right? Because I like to be unique, and so uh, yeah, I've been really getting into the image stuff.
Yeah.
I know Bing just came out with their image stuff, and it's okay, but it's not as good as Firefly, and so I'm going to stick with Firefly until Bing is a little bit more mature, I guess.
Yeah. I'll have to try
Yeah.
Firefly. I don't have a cloud account right now, so
Oh, you
we've
don't need
we've
one right now. It's free because it's in
oh
beta. Yeah,
oh oh
completely free. Yeah.
oh. Now I have two things I'm gonna do today. We've been using Bing Image Creator like in our like in our internal team things. It's like this divider slides, right? Like, and so the things that people put in the prompt and then the things that spit out is so funny. It's just become
Yeah.
like a running joke now. It's like, all right, I put in all right, create an image for like the platform tools team demo, and it gives you like a builder on like a window platform. It's just crazy. And so we've been having a good time like seeing what it comes up with. But
Yeah. Well, for these slides I've been working on, I'm going to be little memes I've been doing for Christmas. One of my memes mentioned something, a term that I've used ever since I was a beginner because I saw this happen and I couldn't explain it. And when code just starts moving around on the screen without you touching it, right? Because you've been up for a long time and think your code works fine one day and the next day you go in and it's not working at all,
yep,
right? And you haven't touched anything,
yep.
right? And so I call that software gremlins, right? And so when I was working on the meme, I was going, I should do gremlins, but AI won't generate a gremlin because that's copyrighted or whatever. And so I put in, evil software gremlins, and it actually came up with some pretty good ones, right? That look evil gremlins, but not like the movie,
That's
'cause-
so funny.
yeah, I know.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're in the
it's
2 week period of time now where I am fully in Christmas mode and my husband is
mm,
fully against Christmas mode. Like he's an after Thanksgiving person. I'm like a
yeah.
November 1st person. So I'm like decorating already. And he's like, put that away. Not yet.
Well, my thing, and thankfully, online shopping is really good at this. But even before online shopping was a thing, my rule. So my birthday is on the 30th of this month, and my rule always was I have to be done with Christmas shopping by the 30th, right?
Wow.
Because you know everybody in the stores, rushing around and being a-holes and stuff like that just kills my spirit, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't want to go to a store in December, you
Yeah.
know? And so, yeah, I would have everything done. I've even gotten everything done like in October before. Because, I just want it out of the way and not worry about all the
Yeah.
Christmas shenanigans that goes on, at least here in the States, with buying crap that no one will ever use again, right?
Yeah.
So,
No joke. Yeah. I told myself, I was like, this year I'm gonna have everything done by November. And I
yeah.
am not done with anybody's. So I tried. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
it's yeah. Well, actually, going back to I told you I used to be in the Navy, so my even when I was in the Navy, I would always make sure I took my birthday off because it's my birthday, right? And I would spend the whole day shopping, pretty much for Christmas gifts.
Yep.
and that'll be done.
That's
So,
pretty good. I
yeah.
like that. I like that.
So I like to be prepared and get it all out of the way because
Yeah.
the whole marketing thing with gift thing with Christmas just bugs me, right?
Yeah.
And it's not what Christmas is about, right?
Yeah.
It's not about giving stuff. It's about being with family and friends and having a good time and celebrating however you celebrate, right?
Yeah, exactly. So.
And never go to the store on Black Friday. Never.
Oh god, I used to think it was so much fun, and now I'm like, do not come near me, none of
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's the other day of the year that I don't even leave my house.
yeah, not worth it. Even
No,
going to like get a coffee at like a Starbucks is out of control on
No,
Black
yeah,
Friday. It's too much. So
yeah, it is. It's yeah,
yeah.
And now we have all. And never mind.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about the other crap happening in the world, but this is about coding. So
Yeah.
So what else? Let's get back to Maui. What else is cool in Maui?
Well, I see a question in the chat that I can
Oh.
answer quickly. When is .NET 8 ready?
Oh,
And November 14th, Tuesday.
it'll be
but
out.
Yep, it's in release candidate 2 right now. So that has a go live license, which means you can use it in production apps and have the support. I would use Maui in the .NET 8 previews for sure. But you can also wait the week now. Well, 10 days until it comes out.
Yeah.
If you want to wait for just like the release stuff. Maui and .NET 7 is solid, but .NET 8 is like significantly better and just more of a pleasure to use.
Yeah.
So
Like I mentioned earlier, the most everything in .NET 8 has sped up as far as code performance goes. The stuff that slid back a little bit, I just finished an article about that. And just in case any of those features you might want to think about before moving to .NET 8, but generally .NET 8 overall, you'll get an instant perf boost just by moving to .NET 8 and not changing anything, right?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like with .NET 6. .NET 6 was a big perf improvement, and now .NET 8 is too. Steven and everybody else has been doing a really fantastic job, and some things I've seen sped up so much that it's unbelievable to me. How can it be that much faster in one year? Right?
Yeah.
What the
I don't
heck
know how
did
they
you guys
even
do?
find more things to fix at this point. It's like they keep finding things and be like, oh yeah, this like random function here, and we saved. And I'm like, what? Like I would never even think to look at that. Like this is insane.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Actually, I had Steven on because on the show I think after .NET 6 came out because I asked him, I go, so what did you guys do? I mean, this is an incredible perf increase I've never seen in .NET, right? What the heck, And so I'm just really glad because that's also one of the things that people come out from competing languages going, well, this is faster and blah blah blah, but C# is really getting up there and getting more adoption just because of the performance.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it should. And that's why when I see job postings and stuff using slower frameworks, I'm going, what are you doing? Especially for your back end stuff, right? Because everything is, if you're in the cloud, the longer things execute, the more you get charged, right?
Yeah.
And so you need to worry about this. And that's why I'm glad, some conferences, like in Denmark and now, Lithuania is picking up my performance session because it's really important.
Yeah.
To think about this while you're coding, not after somebody complains about it or a year later down the road, right?
Yeah. We have a lot of people who like, because, building UI is hard.
Yeah, it is.
Especially like XAML is kind of, if you don't love it, you really hate it. So it's one of those things. And we have a lot of people who build UIs that like, they work, they look good. They're great. And then you go into the code and they're like, it renders really slowly. Or like, it takes 4 seconds to navigate to this page. And it's like, oh, well, you put like 3 stack layouts inside of each other. You should just use a grid and it won't have to do all those maths to figure out how big your stack layout is. And people are like, oh. So the next step, I think, for us, beyond just like making the framework faster, which we'll continue to do forever, is also like making tools to help people identify those bottlenecks that they create or that like could easily be improved. Like sometimes it doesn't matter, but sometimes you have a stack layout and then you're like, oh, I need to add this, and you add another, and then you add another one, and you're like, okay, I need to add this, and then all of a sudden, like, it's not like people do this, a lot of this stuff intentionally. So that's been something.
Also, like, you know, have Copilot say, hey, do you really want to do 50 API calls in your page when it's loading? Come on.
Have you heard of MVP?
Can you rethink this design?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I actually was thinking the other day because I was walking down to the store and just down the street from me is a place I did a contract with a long time ago. This is back in the ASP days, and they're wondering why, you know, the ASP page was loading so low. And I looked at it and it was doing like 168 compiler switches in one page, and I was going. What are you doing? That's crazy. That's why it's slow. You know, it's you just don't code like that. Right?
Yeah.
Or load up, you know, megabytes of information in your web page, right? That you probably don't even need, right?
Yeah.
And so it's those things, you know, that, you know, not only have I spoken and written a lot about, but, you know, I hope that AI will start helping people, you know, go, hey, Copilot says maybe we should rethink the design. Maybe we should do that, you know, because, you know, it knows better than we do, right? And that's actually, you know, I'm doing I'll talk about it after you're off the show, but, you know, I'm doing a new Twitter poll right now because, you know, I've been hearing a lot of worry in the community about AI and how it's going to impact our jobs, you know, in a bad way. And I feel just like you, right? But a lot of people are worried about it, and maybe even some people are going, well, maybe I shouldn't choose this career if AI is just going to replace me, right? And you know, I don't know about you, but here's my stance on it: is you know, to me, you know, software engineering isn't about coding, right? It's not about the code, right? It's about delivering solutions to people that, you know, meet their expectations and the users love, and you can make income and all kinds. It's not about code. It's not about trying to figure out, you know, the weirdest way of doing something so you get 1 nanosecond faster, right? Yeah. And it's not about that. So you know, I'll probably be gone when this happens, but in this career, but not dead, but, you know, not coding, but, you know, I am welcoming AI because I want AI to do more, right? Because I want to go to AI and say, I want to do this and blah, 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 blah. You make the code, right? And not only will AI do it, but it will probably do it a lot better than we do, with globalization and performance and everything all built in without thinking about it, right? And just spits out something and you're done.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I was trying to explain it to my mom, who's just, you know, not a computer person, not a tech person. And she's like, oh my God, like, you're going to lose your job. You're going to get replaced by AI. And I'm like, no. The thing that I always say is, like, it's just, you need the human to do a lot of the problem solving. Like, AI can help. But if you think about, like, the Industrial Revolution and machines, people were freaking out then because they were like, I make all these things by hand, and now a machine is going to do it for me. I'm going to lose my job. It turns out a lot of those jobs that those people were holding actually kind of sucked. And they're way happier skilling up or doing something else, right? And it's allowed us to evolve past, you know, what that was and make more amazing things. I mean, there's always going to be, like, a lot of, from the Industrial Revolution perspective, like, artisan goods and all that stuff is always going to be really awesome to have. Like, I don't want to erase individuality, but with AI, it's kind of the same thing. Like, it's like, it might help us get rid of some of the really obnoxious parts of engineering, like unit testing. Like, my favorite Copilot demo has been when it's like, write me a unit test for this, and it does, and then it's like, great. Or, like, you know, Stack Overflow, like, oh, instead of having to search a bunch of different websites for an answer, like, ask chat and it will summarize the best answers for you. Like, that saves a lot of time, and that frees us up to actually, like, create the problem solving however it is. And
Yeah,
I think, yeah,
I'm really looking forward to not using Google or Bing or anything anymore,
yeah,
right? Because you waste so much time trying to find the one little thing out of
yep,
the sea of information,
yep,
right? Whereas you go to ChatGPT and say, "Can you tell me this?" Boom, comes
yeah,
out. And
yeah,
not only does it come out, it's usually 100% correct,
yeah. And if
right?
it's not,
Not
it
always, but
lets you point it in
close.
the right direction. Like it's not like a Google search where you have to start over and you're
Yeah,
like, okay, oh, I read this word that I haven't heard yet. Let me Google that word and like see if that points me anywhere. Like, yeah. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
excited about it. I having worked very closely with some of the OpenAI stuff that Microsoft owns, like it's not replacing us anytime soon. So I'm
no,
not
no,
super
no.
we have a demo in the .NET Conf keynote, which again I won't spoil, but like it's one of the implementations of it is a chat bot for like a website, right? Like
Mhm.
the same that you'd see a support chat, and you ask it for like a red jacket, and it's like, yes, here are 3 watches, and you're like, you know, you're doing your best, honey, you're doing your best, but not quite there yet.
Yeah, yeah. AI, especially generating images, is really frustrating. You have to basically regenerate the image maybe hundreds of times to get the one you want.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, this is just the very, very beginning, like infant stage of AI, right?
yeah,
And it's got a long way to go before it's going to just outright replace people and things.
yeah.
But, but some jobs I know for sure that are going out the door for the most part is things like copywriting. Not copywriting. I'm sorry, editing
Yeah,
books and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, right?
Which I mean
Um,
is copywriting technically, but
yeah,
not the same. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, those kind of jobs, yeah, you should be moving up or moving somewhere else because pretty
yeah,
soon we're not going to need you too much. Yeah, as many of you as we needed to
yeah.
in the past, and I've been using. I'll admit it that I've been using ChatGPT to help me edit my books, right?
Good.
And it does a really, really good job. It doesn't do it always perfect, and I have to read it and make sure it's correct and
Yeah,
it didn't mess anything up. But
yeah,
it saves me from paying somebody, to do the same thing, which
yeah,
takes a long time, and I just don't make enough money off my books to pay somebody. So
yeah. Exactly. It's the
yeah.
same thing with like I know you're a musician.
Mhm.
I'm in a band and I'm a
Oh,
musician.
cool.
And
Yeah.
yeah, this kind of stuff really helps people like who don't have the resources or the time to like
Yeah.
learn and do all of these things actually like come up with pretty solid finished works, if you will. Like I've used some of the AI just like mixing stuff or like how do I like I've asked ChatGPT like how do I make like how should I EQ these vocals? And it's like here's what a bunch of people recommend. And I'm like, cool, that's like way easier than me trying to like A, watch a couple hours of YouTube videos or B, pay a producer, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Well,
so it's really cool. But yeah, I mean, people have to upskill to avoid some of the tasks that it might actually replace one day. But I think
yeah.
that'll be good in the long run,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Like, for instance, I'm actually writing a new song right now. And so
Oh,
I'm going to write it and then I'm going to give it to ChatGPT and say, fix it,
yeah.
make
Yeah.
it rhyme.
That's a good idea. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I haven't. That's a good
I'm not
idea.
great at rhyming. And so I'm going to use it to rhyme. And I've already, have used ChatGPT sometimes to just spit out a song based on one idea.
Yeah.
And it actually does a pretty dang good job at it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that, it really will help out, like you said, with with the audio editing and things like that. Do you sing?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, great. When I
Yep.
need a female singer, I'm going to hit you up.
Yeah. Let me know.
Yeah.
Always happy to help out. But
Um, but yeah, for things like that, it's really going to help out a lot. And I'm actually looking forward to it.
yeah.
I'm not, I'm going to embrace it,
Yeah.
and I know, the amount of years I'm going to be in this career is not near as long as somebody just starting out, of course. But
Right.
so my time is ending, in the near future anyway. But I'm looking forward to because even if I leave this career, I'll be coding until I'm dead.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
just
it's a hobby more
yeah.
so than yeah, like it's something you like to do.
Yeah, I
So
love coding, right? I
yeah.
love creating things. I've always been a creator and artist and things like that. And so I'll always be doing it. I'll always envision myself on, my deathbed. I'm still coding something or
Yeah.
uploading
Yep.
the NuGet or,
Oh God. Yeah. So
but yeah, because I love coding. I just don't like dealing with companies. That's my problem.
yep. I hear
I
you.
I love coding. I get to make a career out of it. But
Yeah.
I wish it could be easier most of the time. And that's what I'm kind of looking forward to with AI and how things are progressing to make things easier on us. So we can, because I don't. You haven't been around as long as I have, but I've been seeing developers do more and more of things they shouldn't be doing, really, right?
Yeah.
And companies wonder. I've written multiple articles about this on my site, and companies are wondering why their apps are not doing well and they're buggy and stuff. Well, it's because you're making developers do things they really shouldn't be doing, right? And you're paying a lot of money for a developer to do what? Put stuff in DevOps and thing. Come on, there's other people for that. They are cheaper,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. We
Or
one thing I've recommended to a lot of our customers is one, hire a friggin' designer.
yeah,
Stop letting your engineers and your PMs design
yes,
your UI and then be like,
yes.
people don't think it's intuitive. People think it's clunky. I'm like,
It's
yeah,
because you're having software engineers do it.
yeah. I am a product manager. I am not a designer. I can mock things up. Someone needs to make it smooth, someone needs to make it good for me, right?
Yeah,
And then the same thing with CI/CD people. I'm like, a really good DevOps person can save you so much hassle.
yes,
Why are you making your software engineers figure out how to fight with GitHub Actions and all of these random pipeline things and YAML, God forbid, and and it's well, they're engineers, they'll figure it out. They have to get. I'm like, a good cloud engineer, cloud architect, a good DevOps person, sure, you have to pay them, but also you're paying engineers, and now you're paying someone who's going to be way more productive than an engineer at that job. So, hello, not that hard.
or having develop or software engineers, highly paid software engineers, do project management. Come on.
Oh my God.
That is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. So much has creeped into our world. And, I was talking earlier about, development managers. It's the same thing. They're doing so many things that's not really their job. And that's why, at the very beginning of that article, I actually asked ChatGPT, what is a development manager supposed to be doing? Right. And I copied that into the article, and this is what a development manager is supposed to be doing, because I agree with 100% with every one of these things.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
But companies have placed so much other things, that's getting in the way of delivering software in their way. Right. And then going, well, why is it a problem?
Yep.
And even, I was interviewing recently with somebody, and they, my article is basically, managers don't, dev managers don't have enough resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
And more, managers in the contracts I work on actually manage multiple teams, which never happened in my past, right? And I was interviewing with somebody, and I got into talk about management and things like that, and I said, and he told me he's managed his 3 teams, and I'm going, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the last manager I had managed 2 teams, and he did a really piss poor job at it, right? Because he had these 2 large teams he's trying to manage that is just even too much for one person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let alone, one team is too much, because I think there was 17 people on my team, and that's even too much, right?
I think the magic number is 7. They say,
right?
You hear 9, you hear 7, you hear 5, but I say 7 is good.
Yeah.
Any more than that, because so much of being a manager too is being a person,
Mm-hmm.
being a human with empathy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And having to have empathy for 17 people that you care about, that you want their careers to succeed and whatever,
This is too much.
That's way too much. I have family. I have friends, I have my dogs. Like, that's enough empathy already. Like, add in my team, and I'm like, oh my God. And then you add in like 3 times the size of what your team should be. And that's just, oh no. No one's going to be successful. So.
No, it's and that's the whole purpose of these articles.
Yeah.
Is to kind of shed a light on what's happening, and a lot of my articles, especially the big ones, might tend to be controversial, but I do that because I'm trying to start a conversation, right? I'm trying to say, I think there's a problem. Let's work on a solution.
Yeah.
Right. And let's bring awareness to this issue, so we can hopefully make things better for the future. Right. Because I don't see this going down a good road right now.
Yeah.
And I know, everybody says, oh, it's so much better in the old days kind of thing. But still, you need to worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And it's important for younger people to see like experienced, reputable people speak up too, because it makes them feel less impostery or whatever you want to call it, like when they call out these issues. So it's good. I mean, controversy can be good. Not all controversy.
Sure. Yeah.
Not all. But a lot of it can help move things in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And that's why I do those kind of things. And just like I said, because I want to bring awareness, to a situation I think that needs help, right? Mm-hmm. And even at Microsoft, I do the same thing, being part of the MVP program and things like that. And I, this article I'm about to release, I thought about it a little bit, going, oh, they're going to kick me out of the MVP program for this, but my whole thing is to bring awareness, to something that no one's talking about, right? And let people make their own decisions, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And if you're just in a everything is great, world, then you also need to think about what's not great and what might happen in the future, right?
Yep. Very true.
And you have to take care of those things, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah.
Right? Because the end goal is to create great software that people pay you for.
Yep.
Right? And it does, and especially with the wide array of choices these days, right? And my feeling is, if you find a piece of software you don't like, move on to the next one, because someone else has it too.
Yep.
Right. That maybe fit your needs better. And for me, once a software or framework pisses me off, I'm probably not going to come back.
Yeah.
Right. And you've lost it. Right. I even had a discussion. I've written about this too, about, I went to the management, like 3 months before release, and I go, we can't release this on the time frame that you have planned. And they said, why? And I go, because it's too slow and we're going to lose customers. And they said, well, you don't know what you're talking about. And I go, okay, whatever. Guess what happened?
That's awesome.
It was too slow and they lost customers. Right. And so, yeah, you gotta worry about these things.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to talk about before I let you go?
Reach out to me if you ever want to learn about Maui. Or if you have a Xamarin app and you're trying to move it over to Maui, we have a lot of tools to help you. It's not a full rewrite, so don't worry. Most of everything stays the same. But other than that, hope to see you all at .NETConf. I have a little bit in the keynote, not too much, and then a session later that day, and then I'll be hosting the third day. So come hang out in the chat, and we can chat then.
Well, since this is the first and hopefully not the last time you're on the show, the question I ask all my first-time guests, because I think this is important for especially the younger people, is so what do you do for fun that's not Microsoft?
Well, the band, for sure.
The band, yeah.
That's a big thing. I have 2 dogs, so taking them to the beach is my favorite thing, especially like when it's actually warm out. Big beach fan in general. And then I'm lucky I get to travel a lot, same as you, for conferences and all that. So I always try to tack on a day and explore or all those things. And it works out well. But yeah, I mean, and I watch a lot of football. Big Patriots fan. So a lot of hockey too. But it's a little early for me to get into hockey. I need to wait till like January usually before I can start picking that back up.
So what kind of music does your band play?
We do like alt or hard rock, kind of on the line there. Yeah, I know.
That's my thing.
I know. I was listening to the intro. I was like, oh, okay. So we're called Big Rav, RAV. It started as a joke when we were in college, like many,
Mm,
many years ago, and then it just
mm.
never ended. So we play out in Boston like once or twice a month. We have a good time. We have a couple songs on Spotify. We're working on the album. So
Cool.
maybe next year.
Yeah. Well, we're ever at a conference together, hopefully maybe we can do some music together too, because
Yeah.
I'll probably be doing that in Lithuania, and I was supposed to in Denmark, but I got sick right before I was supposed to get on stage, and so I couldn't do it. But hopefully in
Yeah.
Lithuania. But yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well,
All
thanks
right.
for
Well,
having me on. It's great to finally get to chat with you.
yeah. I think we did meet in 2018. I think
Yeah.
so. I went to a Xamarin hackathon thing, and I think you were there.
Oh, I probably was. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
Cool.
think that's where we met. I've been trying to figure it out all
Yeah.
show.
I never know anymore. I'm like, I've seen so many people online so many times. I'm like, I don't know who I know. Like, but
Yeah,
so
especially these days with COVID and all that
yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
All right,
So,
I'll let
all
you go.
right.
If you want to talk afterwards, hang out. Otherwise, go have fun with your dog and your
I'm gonna
husband.
go eat lunch.
And yeah, oh yeah, that's right. It's right there. All right. Well,
Cool.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Okay. See ya.
See you.
Well, that was really fun. I enjoyed talking to Maddie and getting to know more about Maui and whatever else is going on. And now my screen is lagging a bit, so I apologize. So let's go to the slides. So I have a new Twitter poll right now. I just briefly mentioned a bit ago. How worried are you about AI? Uh, don't go by what we were just talking about. Go about what your gut feeling is telling you. I'd like to know because I sometimes I do these polls because I want to do a show wrapped around an idea, and if I get enough if I get enough people voting in the poll to give me an idea on which direction to go, then I'm going to, create a show about that. So that's one of the reasons I do that. So please go to my Twitter handle, real.netDave, and vote in the poll right now. So maybe I'll do a show about that. So here's some geek humor I found in the last week. Who can write code? Everybody raises his hand. Who can write code without ChatGPT? And speaking of AI, all their hands go down. So that's a great. It's a great humor thing, especially since we were just talking about AI a bunch of this in this show. All right. So as usual, help me help the kids from India. I was there last year. I didn't get to go this year, unfortunately. And there's pictures of my visit last year where we visited the Voice of Slum and brought them computers and hung out with the kids. And the kids, sang us songs and read poems to us. The brave ones did, at least. And Dave and Chandy do such a wonderful job at helping these kids not only get out of the slums in Delhi, but also clothe them, feed them, teach them, train the older ones for a career, things like that. And they're just two wonderful people and that's probably the biggest reason I miss going to India this year, is because my favorite part of going to India, pretty much, besides Simon, of course, is going and seeing the kids and Dave and Chandy at the Voice of Slum. So please donate whatever you can. You can buy them school supplies, things like that. But yeah, please do that. Thanks for watching. I don't have a guest for the next show. I'll be off for a couple weeks because I'll be in Lithuania. And so the next show is a couple days after Thanksgiving in America. And I don't have a guest. So if you have an idea on who I should invite, let me know right now so I can get that in the works, and we'll get them on for the end of the November. And I have some more exciting guests coming in December too. Also, can you switch back to the slides? I know you want to go, Simon. I'm trying. Please help your fellow humans and donate blood at your local blood bank. I actually went this Tuesday. I just want to talk about this just for a second, Simon. I went and participated in a study this Tuesday. It's my second time doing this, and I'm going to go back in December. And the machine you see there next to me is a special new machine that instead of extracting red blood cells or platelets or plasma, what it does is it extracts white blood cells. And it's a very different process. If you can see, they have a needle in my left arm. The blood is going out, and the blood is coming back in on my right arm. I think during this, and I'm strapped down to this chair for 3 hours. And I think during those 3 hours, all the blood in my body goes through the machine like 3 times. And but it's for really, really sick cancer patients that have brain cancer and melanoma. And the doctor, the first time I did it, told me that they're seeing really amazing effective rates on this, up to 90%, with some of the cancer completely disappearing just because of this treatment. So I hope the FDA approves this sooner than later. I think this will help a lot of people because cancer just seems to be getting worse, and this will help with that treatment. And so you don't have to do this. I don't recommend this if you've never donated blood before. But this is what I do to help people and help progress, the treatment of like cancer patients. And with that, thanks so much for watching the show. Like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks with a guest to be announced. And if you have any ideas, questions, or whatever about the show, please email me at dotNetDave, dotNetDave@live.com. And with that, I'll see you in a couple weeks.